Hey guys, welcome back to the Elevate HD podcast. My name is Holly Davage and this is episode 15. I've been on a bit of a hiatus if you hadn't noticed. The last episode was with James Sutton, which was episode 14. I think it was back in July. So there's been a bit of a break in the podcast. It wasn't intentional, but obviously I've been on prep since then. And things have been a bit manic. My priorities and my focuses have been on the shows themselves. And it just kind of went a bit on the back burner. And now that my season has ended, I really want to revive the podcast just because I absolutely love listening to podcasts myself. I listen to them while I'm on walks, while I'm doing cardio, while I'm doing chores in the house, all of those kind of things. So I just thought it'd be nice to provide your ears with some nice listening. If you're still doing cardio, if you're getting your steps in, or if you just want some company, I want to be there for you. So this is my first solo podcast. I've only ever had guests on my podcast, except for episode 1, where I kind of just did a brief introduction of the goal of the podcast. So this episode, I'm going to be running through my season reflections from my 2022 prep. You may or may not know, I finished my season last weekend, which was the 15th of October at the PCA British Finals. And my season ended there. So I thought it'd be a really good chance, now that I'm about a week post-show and post-prep, to reflect on the season. You know, what were my wins? What were my struggles? What would I have done differently? And hopefully that will be helpful to you, whether you're a first timer, whether you're thinking about competing, whether you've done seasons yourself and you just want to see it from someone else's perspective. I thought it would be a really good idea to run through it all. So let's get to work. So a little bit of a backstory. Obviously, I did attempt to prep in 2021 due to a lot of personal issues, health issues, and stress related things. I didn't end up prepping in the end. So I joined Joe Jeffrey after a bit of a dieting phase in October of 2021, which was around the time I joined the Physique Collective. And we started working together in a building phase from October all the way to April. So I had about 6 months of a progressive off season with the aim to build muscle and get my body in a good place to start a prep. So I started prep then in April of 2022, the 20th of April. And I started around 67 kilos, which for me is quite heavy. And I was quite uncomfortable at that point. But I trusted Joe. I put all of my faith in him. And I knew that it was in his best interest to get me to where I wanted to be and get me the result that I wanted. So I put all my trust in him. So I was dieting from the 20th of April, and then my first show was August 27th, which was the Two Bros Mr. JT Classic. My first ever Two Bro show. I'd never done it before. To be honest, the reason for that was I didn't have the self-belief before. I didn't think I was a good enough competitor or competitive enough as a bikini athlete to hold my own on the stage. But I decided this time to just go for it. I wasn't expecting anything. I just wanted to see where I was in that lineup and to see how I looked doing Two Bros posing, because I had never done Two Bros posing before. I had worked with Phoebe Hagan on the posing portal in 2021 and 2022, but I never got to use it because I didn't compete in 2021. So I had been practicing really, really hard. And I love the Two Bro style of posing, the IFBB style. I think it's lovely. I love that front pose. I think it suits my physique really, really well. And obviously the back pose is lovely as well. So I did Two Bros 27th of August. I entered into novice as well as my open class, which was open class E. In novice, I got first call outs, but I didn't make the top 3. And then I saw on the scorecard afterwards that I came 4th. So obviously I was close, but I just missed it. And then in the open class, I actually came 2nd, which I was really confused about, because obviously there were similar people in the novice and in the open, and the open is generally going to be a more competitive class. So I was delighted. Like, I didn't expect to come 2nd. So that was a really good day. I started my season on a high, and I was literally singing in the car on the way home because I was so happy with my placing. I am never the type of person that I know it's really important that everyone who competes wants to win. That's a given. But for me, it's so much more than that. Like, if I can beat my previous physique, if that placing to me is justified, if I feel that I did myself proud, then that is just as important to me. So came away with the 2nd. I was delighted and set me up for, a good start to the season. The following week was the week, what date was it? I'm gonna have to go back because I can't even remember what exact dates they are anymore. So my first was 27th of August. My next one was the 4th of September. So I basically started my prep on 3 back-to-back peak weeks. So 27th of August, 2 bros. Then on 3rd of September, the 4th of September, I did the NFM UK show. And I have been spectating at so many NFM shows. I have attended lots of them, either, with a sponsor like Compact or Georgia Rose, or just to support friends. And I'd never competed in it before. And I just always loved the vibe. I loved the atmosphere of the whole event. I love how warm and welcoming everyone is. So I decided to do it for myself. So I entered into Beach, which is their bikini class, as well as Diva. I have done Diva posing before. I did Pure Elite my last competitive season in 2019. So I had a little bit of experience with Diva style posing, but I hadn't done it or practiced it in a long, long time. So I enlisted the help of the lovely Emily, who is also a Compact and Georgia Rose bikini athlete, to help me out with this. So she developed a routine with me. I had lots of posing lessons with her where we kind of brought the sass out, made sure I was confident, made me feel like I could own that stage. So I did the Diva class first that evening or that day, and I came second again, which I was really happy about. I felt it was a really good result considering I hadn't really done Diva posing for a long, long time. And, I think if I did it again, maybe next year, and just kept up with the posing of it, I'd feel more confident. But I was happy with how it looked on stage because I did purchase my videography of the routine afterwards. So that was good. And then I competed in Beach, where I came third, which I was really happy about as well. The top 3 was really competitive. Kerry, who is Brad's client, who's one of my good friends, she won and she fully deserved it. She looked incredible. And I was so delighted with her. Like, the first thing when she came off stage, the first thing I did was give her a big hug because she couldn't believe it. And I was just so happy because she did very well. She looked amazing. She has so much muscle mass. And it's so funny because she's so little in height, but she's just like jacked. So that was a really good day. And also I didn't even talk my bikinis. So for 2 bros, I wore a raspberry pink, which is a rental from Georgia Rose. My Diva class, I wore my custom one, which was like a vibrant purple, which I absolutely love. And then for the open bikini, I wore a turquoise rental as well. So that was that. Then we moved into the 3rd peak week in a row, and I did the FitX Manchester, which was very special to me because obviously I live in Manchester. So it was really nice to wake up in my own bed and not have to book a hotel or anything like that. And also my parents and my brother came. So my brother had never been to a show before. My mom has actually been to a good few. She even came to New York to support me at the WNBF World Finals in 2019. So she's been really supportive. My dad has been to a few as well. So it was really special to have them all there. And it was a really good day. As I said, with NFM, I had never done FitX before because these are relatively new federations that when I was competing last, they weren't really around, or they were just kind of starting up. So it was really cool to try some new federations. And I really like FitX. I love like everyone that organizes it. I love the crew. It's just nice. So it was a really, really good day to have them. Obviously Ryan was there as well. And we had a good day. I competed in bikini tall, which is really funny for me because if you look at me, I'm a small person. Like, I'm not big, but because I'm on the cusp of the cutoff point for short and tall, I'm like around 164.2 cm. So it depends on the day and whether they measure me or not, whether I get in short or tall. So I was tall in FitX and I was short in NFM. And yeah, I ended up placing 3rd again there, which was a good result. It was at this point where I had a little bit of a wobble because I really wanted to do another PCA because I hadn't competed in PCA since 2018, where I was really, really small. I didn't place. I didn't even get a look in from the judges, and I really wanted to redeem myself and come back to the PCA and prove to myself that I was better and that I'd worked so hard to be a better athlete. So after the FitX on the 10th of September, there was the PCA London on the 17th of September. And I was going to do it, but after 3 back-to-back peak weeks, I was just wrecked. Like, I was so shattered. During the peak weeks, I didn't really feel it, but it was the come down after FitX where I was like, the thought of going into another peak week and doing, the fat loading, the carb loading, the water loading, the water cutting, it was just too much. So I decided, well, I spoke to Ryan about it basically. I spoke to my parents, and I thought that if I was going to do PCA, it wasn't enough time to reach the condition that they wanted, because the PCA look for bikini is quite lean, and they do quite like seeing like lines in the quads. They like a more conditioned bikini athlete. And if I did PCA London, like with the peak week, I wouldn't have had time to get any leaner. So we decided jointly to set my sights on the PCA Murcia, which was on the 18th. Was it the 18th? No, the 8th. Yeah, it was the 8th of October. So I had a good few weeks in between to get a bit leaner, because I just really wanted to bring the conditioning that they wanted. So I had quite low food days. I was on, not as low as I had been before. I was on about 1,300 calories, but I think because I was coupling that with being so lean and, having been on prep for quite a while, it was very tough. I went to bed starving most nights. Like I used to have to like chug like a sugar-free can of Lilt, or, the pineapple fizzy drink from Aldi, just to fill my stomach so I could go to sleep without feeling like that emptiness inside. So that was quite a struggle, but the peak week soon arrived for PCA Murcia. And honestly, I was so happy with the whole day and how I looked. I decided at that point that I didn't want to do an aggressive peaking strategy, because for me, I found it very stressful and very overwhelming. And I think the stress that the peak week caused on my physique wasn't worth the trade-off. Like it wasn't worth the trade-off of that for that extra couple of percent you can get from, a more aggressive peaking style. So I just rolled into that much more casually, and I just kind of stuck to my same food. And I was really happy with how I looked, because my waist was super tight. I didn't have any blurring in the midsection. I felt energetic. I felt happy on the day. It was just such a good day. So I returned to the PCA. I ended up I was in bikini short again. I got first call outs, and then I came third, which for me was, honestly, I couldn't believe it, because if I were to tell 2018 little Holly, who didn't get a look in on stage, who didn't make first call outs, who didn't place, that she would be worthy of being noticed by the judges and she would get first call outs and she would place top 3, like she wouldn't have believed you. Like I really never thought I would be, in the rankings of a top level athlete, because in my opinion, obviously apart from Two Bros, but in my opinion, PCA is one of the most prestigious federations in the UK. Like the caliber of athlete that they attract, and the people that win the shows and the pro league is just, the standard is so incredible. And I love the look of PCA bikini. I love the posing, because I like the way you can flex everything. I love being able to do a good power pose, show off my delts, show off my quads. I love being able to show off my back and my back pose. So it's just really cool to have the opportunity to display all of your hard work. So coming top 3 there was incredible, and I was literally floating. I was on a high. I wore a red rental bikini from Georgia, and it was like my favorite look ever. I paired it with a red lip. I had super straight hair, and it was just a dream. So I was so happy with that. And then basically the day after, which was a Sunday, is the final day to register for the PCA finals. So I was in two minds, because I was like, I know I came third, so I probably don't have a chance of placing, because, everyone else who came first this whole year is going to be at the finals. So there's no way I'm going to place. And I had to weigh it up in my head whether that was important to me. How would I feel if I did the finals and I didn't place? Would I be okay with it, or would I be devastated? Would I end my season on a low? But the next day came and I just thought, feck it, like just go for it. Like I'd never done a PTA finals before. I had never been on a stage of that size. And I was just saying, I said to myself, I said to Joe, look, I just want to enjoy the day. I just want to roll into it. I want to have a good time. I want to see everyone I know. I want to just embrace every second and savor each moment before I know I'm going to transition into an off season. So the day arrived, it was last week, so it was the 15th. I went down to Telford the night before, but I actually did my own base coat that time and the previous time, which is something I would highly recommend. And as a side note, like I've only ever got my base coat done by the tanners at the show, because I was nervous, and I think a lot of people are nervous to do it themselves in case they mess it up. But Compact have a really good resource. They actually have a video tutorial on their site, which shows you how to apply your own base coat. But it's so easy. Like me being Irish and being super pale, I wear fake tan all the time. So for me, it's very normal to do my own tan. So I did it myself for PCA Mercia and for the finals. And not only do you save money, you save time, you save the hassle. It's just like less stress. You don't have to travel down so early the day before. And I really enjoyed it, and it worked out super well. Like I could even reach my whole back, even though the Compact said to use like a spatula and put the tanning mitt on the spatula to tan your back, but I can somehow bend weird ways with my arms, so it was fine. So that's one thing I learned from shows that I probably will do my base coat moving forward. And the thing is, if anything goes wrong, they'll be able to top it up for you at the top coat. Because think of it, even if you do get them to your base coat, sometimes you mess it up anyway, and then you return and they fix it for you, so it's not the end of the world. So that's something I will say. So anyway, went to Telford the night before, got up the next morning, was super chilled. I ended up doing all of my check-ins that morning because sometimes my check-ins are a little delayed, obviously, when I was show that day, but I managed to get them all done. I put my own makeup on. I always do my own hair and makeup for shows. And I wandered over to the venue. I got my tan done early because I arrived early. I sat with Jen and Alex. Joe arrived, Brad arrived, Ryan arrived. There was a really nice crew of us. Like, it was just such a nice day. I was so relaxed. I had no expectation, and that's why I wasn't that nervous, because I didn't expect to place. I just expected to bring the best I could to the stage, see how I looked on that stage, and take the photos away from afterwards and show them to Joe and say, right, this is what our new standard is, and this is where we need to go if I want to come back and be better than I am now. So I loved every minute of being on that stage. I ended up again getting first call outs, which I was like, what? This is mad. And was really happy with how the posing went and everything. And I ended up placing top 6. And I got a very cool black trophy, which I will show you. So I got this black trophy, which I think is fab. And I also got, which is covered in tan, an invite to the PCA World, which is on, it doesn't even say, I think it's the 20th of November, which obviously I'm not going to do. But it was very, very cool to be awarded like that. And I was just on cloud nine. Like, I got off the stage and everyone ran up to me. Like, Jen was squeezing me, Mel was squeezing me. Everyone was like so delighted for me because they knew how much that meant to me, as well as Joe. Like, Joe and I have been friends for years, and he has seen my competitive journey since like 2018. So he knows how much this means to me, how much I have felt like a bit of an underdog for pretty much my whole competitive career. So to get to a point where I'm in the top placings and I'm among the people who are the best, that was a huge improvement for me. Obviously, you know, looking at the prep, I would have obviously loved to win. I would have loved to win. But it's okay because I got first call out to every show. I placed at every show. I was noticed by the judges at every show. And that's so much more than anything that's ever happened to me before, because as I said, I have always been the underdog. I've always been a smaller competitor. I've been told before I'm too small for bikini, which to me is just irony at its finest. So to not be told that this time, to, you know, feel like I'm nearly there is enough for me. And as long as I'm on the trajectory to being better, that is the main thing. And as long as I am on track to one day winning the show, even if I don't compete next year, even if it's the year after that, then so be it. I'm happy because I've made so many improvements. And I put up an Instagram post the day before yesterday of the last time I did PCA versus this time. And just like, it's just mad how much I've improved. And I'm so proud of myself for that, because it's been 4 years of a lot of ups and downs and a lot of struggle and a lot of challenges. But I persevered through it all. So looking back on my feedback, my main concern is my glutes, obviously. And I think that's pretty common for all bikini athletes, is that I do need more glute development. In terms of other body parts, my strengths, PCA said, were my back, my delts, and my quads, which is mad because I've never had legs before. So the fact they complimented my quads, I was really impressed. And they also complimented my power pose, which is my favorite pose. They also complimented my smiles. They said lovely smiles. So that's one lesson I've learned, is that you need to look like you're enjoying yourself up there, because it does either consciously or subconsciously affect the judges and what they think about you. If they look up at you and you look miserable, that's not a good look. So you make sure that you are enjoying the stage, because why else are you doing it if you're not enjoying it? So make sure to smile, make sure to have your posing on point, because they will give you markers. Like from my third PCA, from the third show I did PCA, no, fourth show I did PCA Mercia, they said that I needed to properly present my delts and my glutes in my posing. And I asked Kayla about that because she's been my posing coach, and she said basically my side poses, I find it very hard to twist in the core while also displaying my top line and displaying my glutes. So I know in the off season I really need to work on the mobility there, because I did practice it ever since she told me that, to try and correct it, but I still don't think I was quite there in the photos. So I need to make sure that I work on that flexibility and mobility even during the off season. I don't just start posing in prep, because you need to develop that from before, so that when you go on stage, it's second nature. Because the thing is, when you're on stage, you're nervous, and anything that's not ingrained into your mind and solidified in your skull, you'll probably forget. So it needs to be something of second nature that you don't even think twice about, so that even when you forget something, your kind of habit will carry you through it, and you'll kind of go into autopilot mode a little bit. So that is what I will say there. So yeah, reflecting on the season, I'm really happy that I placed in every show. I got first call outs in every show. I would have loved to win, but I know that the improvements I made since last time, which was 2019, are crazy. And I never expected to improve that much, because I was worried initially, because my stage weight was basically the same. Like after, when I fat loaded from my first show, and obviously I was carb depleted because I wasn't eating any carbs, I was around 51.9 kilos. And I competed last time at around 52 to 52.5. But even though I was getting leaner after FitX, my weight wasn't really changing. So I felt a bit better there, because obviously I was like fully depleted at 51.9, and I never really fully depleted in previous years. So that was interesting. Yeah, and it was just interesting to experience a different style of peak, because I'd never really properly peaked before with previous coaches. So this time we attempted the whole fat loading thing, the carb loading thing, the water cutting, the water loading, and it was really interesting for me to see how that worked and the effect that had on my body. But as I said, I'm the kind of person that I get super stressed at anything that's like too dramatic. And for me, I quite enjoyed a more conservative approach, where we kind of fed up in terms of eating more at maintenance calories, but not doing drastic cuts or drastic loads, because I just find it stressed me out mentally. And the thing about it is, when you do an aggressive carb up, the next day, because you're so like overspilled, you just look terrible. And by the next day and show day, it's gone. But I find it quite mentally difficult to check in with Joe the day before the show and look so bloated and watery. So I just rather not have that. And if that's a trade-off, I'm going to have to accept that. Maybe I won't be able to bring optimal 100%, but even if I can bring 99, but enjoy the day and feel good about myself and how I look, keep my midsection tight, that's more important to me. So going into this off season now, I'm really glad I did this prep, because I've been able to get lean enough to see where my strengths are, where my weaknesses are, so we can intelligently program and design it specifically to what I need to build. And that's definitely going to be glutes and hamstrings specifically, as well as, you can never have too many delts. So I pretty much do delts every single day now. I'm training 3 times a week lower. And as I said before, I'm not sure if I'm going to compete next year, because I did say to Joe, do you think I can? Because to be honest, after the show, my last show, I was in a bit of a slump, because you get the post-show blues after your show. And I was like, I don't think I could do another year off. I'd love to just like take 6 months off and go again. But he was really honest with me and said, look, if you want to look completely different, you're going to have to take the time away. And I knew that in my heart, to be fair, but I would have loved to have gone again soon. But sure, no decisions need to be made straight away. Obviously, I'm not competing anytime soon. I need to, reverse out, get my body healthy again, enjoy Christmas, enjoy my birthday. I'm starting a new job, which is very exciting. I'm starting in a senior role in a new company for clinical trials, for those of you who don't know. I want to build my coaching business up, because I do have amazing clients, and I really want to build my business up further and just invest all my time in them now that, I don't have to focus on my shows and travel anymore. I'm moving house, which is exciting. So I'm moving from an apartment into a house, which is a big move for me, as, someone who feels like they haven't grown up yet. So I feel like this is a chance to be all grown up. And yeah, there's just lots of things to look forward to. And, I can start investing time back into my family, my friends, my relationships, my socializing, and bringing back Hungry Holly. So I'm excited to bring back my food page and rejuvenate her because she's been missed. If you don't follow Hungry Holly Diaries, you should if you're a foodie and you want some inspiration for off-plan meals. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's a pretty good reflection overall. Like I would be lost without Georgia Rose and Compaq, and Jasmine and Georgia for everything they did for me over this season. Like Georgia provided me with a rental for every single show and my custom one, which is absolutely stunning. And Compaq and Jasmine have just been there for me for everything. Like Jasmine was at NFM with me, so was Georgia. I had a whole collection of earrings to use depending on the look I wanted to achieve. Obviously, I had all my posing heels that I needed, and I had 2 pairs in case one broke. I had all my show day essentials. I had my bronzy with me for tanning, which is a godsend. I did my base coat, my exfoliating, everything like that, all from Compaq. So it is literally a one-stop shop for everything you need for competing. So make sure you go and follow them and check out the website for either articles like the bodybuilding calendar, how to do your own tan. I've written an article on like prepping with a full-time job before, or for just anything you need competing related. And Georgia just makes the most stunning bikinis. Like I'm just obsessed. I'll show you my purple one because it's still in the box. But isn't this the most stunning? Like it's not even going to come off the color in Zoom. But I always think it's like a pinch me moment when you get this card and I'm on it. Look at me for my previous season. Yeah, I'm so grateful for my sponsors. Also, of course, to Stups for providing me with all my supplements. They provided me with the peak mats I needed for peaking. Obviously, Perform Protein out of my ears, all the cream of rice I need from Trained by JP. And yeah, my pump pre-workout for before stage. So yeah, check out Stups and you can use the code HollyD for 10% off if you're interested. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone for listening. If you do have any more questions, if you want any requests for guests, for topics, I might do one on post show, I might do one on off season, all those kind of things, let me know. I would love to provide that for you. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you do, please take a screenshot, share it to your story, tag Holly_Physique Collective, which is my new Instagram name, which I've got since my last podcast because I'm officially a PC coach. And yeah, thank you so much for listening and I'll speak to you soon.